This week on Another Brother.
We cry enough. And any of you listeners who don't
I
know
cry
us,
more than my wife. Like, hands down, way more.
Yeah. Is there a thing for that? Can I make someone...
Being a happy little soy boy?
Not even gonna lie. I peed myself. Buttons did listen to the podcast. And he did send me another video, which I will play to my brothers.
What?
After we conclude this recording.
Well, that wraps up this episode, guys. Thanks for stopping by.
Brother over here, brother over there, brother everywhere. Another brother.
Oh, one thing feedback from some listeners
We've had feedback?
through family channels.
Dang it. I thought it was at least going to be your work, your coworkers.
Callie suggested and Bree
yeah.
agreed that maybe it's useful to say who we are.
Oh,
Oh,
right.
yeah, this is
I
long
forgot.
time.
And it's a
yeah.
new season, so it's been a bit. So this voice right here, this is Josh, the Red Stewart.
He should be coming out of the center channel. Like if you're paying attention to
But only for this episode, not every episode.
Yeah.
no, every episode. Every episode.
I'm the middle child, dude.
I've
I'm
I've made
not
the
middle
decision.
child.
Oh, I thought you did it based on who had the back nine.
I thought about that and I was
Okay.
like,
No,
no,
that's
that
fine,
would
that's
get
fine.
confusing.
Okay.
Yeah, just to keep things straight. If you're
That makes
listening in
sense.
stereo, not mono,
Josh is the loudest.
Josh is in the center.
Not the loudest, just the most balanced in your
There we go.
in your brain.
Well, I'm Jacob, the Blue Stewart.
And he should be coming from your right.
Check, check.
And I'm Alex, the green one, I guess. I should be coming from the left.
Nice. That's us. I think we identified that we had a lot to say last episode about masculinity, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we went on and on. Yeah.
We could have gone on forever.
Yeah.
Because that's what men do. We just explain things.
Let's mansplain masculinity to all of our listeners.
Hey, if there's one thing that we can mansplain,
It's masculinity. It's how I feel about masculinity.
Yes, there you go.
Wait, I don't think those two go together. And we'll find out because I have prepared to riff off of what Jacob brought us last episode. I've prepared a few hot takes on masculinity. that
can I pause you right there?
Of course.
In Josh's text message, he said epic hot takes.
He did say
So,
that, I guess.
like, he built it up.
Oh, I mean, they're good. I had to cut out masculinity just even the conversation around masculinity is like a really polarized,
It's a hot button
toxic
topic.
conversation.
Would you say it's fragile?
I would say the people contributing to the conversation are very fragile.
Half of the people.
So I did have to go back through the list and cut out. It was a list of 40, and I had to remove all of the political ones because I don't want you MAGA lovers, Trump people coming after me.
Was this a list of 40 items that you personally compiled?
No,
Okay.
I found a few different compiled lists. And to make it worse, I had to go through and scrub all the ones that had like racism in them. Because apparently certain elements of our toxic masculine culture is tied to straight up racism.
Hooray.
Yeah. All
the isms.
I'll say it here. If for whatever reason you identify an entire race as feminine, because
I was wondering where this was going.
because that's not
What?
you're not that race, and so your worldview is defined by how important and honorable and masculine your race is, you're out of your mind.
What a weird idea.
Well, never mind.
I'll tell you guys offline. I just don't want to even bring it up.
Yeah.
because it's ridiculous.
Sure.
So out of the 40, really, and then like overly sexualized ones too, I had to get rid of because it's like borderline, pretty much sexual assault.
Great.
So I pared 40 down to 4.
Okay.
That should give you an idea of where this
Goodness.
quote community is at.
Yeah.
So this is toxic masculinity traits. Is that what this list is, or what?
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I'll start it off easy, though. Here we go. Men should not have a soup ever. That's a quote. Men should not have a soup ever.
Meaning, like, don't eat soup?
Yep.
What the freak?
What? Can you even get your head into that one?
No. I mean, no.
I love soups.
Yeah.
Soup is good.
Soup's great.
Every culture let's not get the cultures that have more soup must not be masculine. No, that's weird.
Seriously. I don't know. The conversation around that one is basically...
Is stew included?
Yeah, does that include stew? Because, like...
Stew is meaty and hearty and potatoes.
Well, it's hard for me to know because the quote, again, men should not have a soup ever.
Like you said, that says a lot about the community that you
Yeah.
are.
I think the suggestion is either related to you're using a spoon, and unless it's a fork and a knife type food, it's not masculine.
Ice cream.
Why would you ever eat with something that can't be a weapon?
I mean, a real man could.
That's
Oh,
what.
God.
Everything's a weapon.
A real man.
So I don't know. That was a soft pitch one. Here's one that I think you guys will like. You can never cry and also call yourself a man.
Yeah, that's a typical one.
We've all heard it, obviously.
I mean, how do you feel about that? I think that outs me right there.
Yeah, I think
I
you know
must
how
not
we
be a
feel
man.
about that.
Yeah, Stewarts have a pre-inclination for tears.
The waterworks.
I mean, just...
That's putting it kindly.
music. I'm easily manipulated by music. Emotionally. Like, I don't even have to necessarily like the music and I can be bawling my eyes out.
The YouTube videos where a soldier came home and surprised a spouse or child.
Or dog.
That's true.
Or
or even the pets.
Or even the dog.
It gets me every time.
It used to until I did it a few times.
Yeah.
And then I'm just like, this needs to stop. Because I know what most of you guys are doing when you're deployed. And this is embarrassing. Meaning,
They're just being dum-dums.
here's my toxic masculinity. I think it's ridiculous. Like, a lot of these people, especially in the videos, had like really easy cush situations.
Yeah, okay. I see.
Not that anyone shouldn't miss their loved ones so
Sure.
much that they create an emotional
Sure.
event.
Yeah.
But it's not really what people are thinking it is. You know, like out in the trenches.
Right.
Oh,
When
you
they're-
finally made it home. You did it. You
Yeah.
hero.
You had a 10% chance of surviving.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
So there's this YouTube channel called, I think it's Jubilee. Have you guys heard of it?
No.
They're fairly big. I think over 5 million subscribers. They have a couple different video formats.
Yes, I do know this one.
Yeah, so one of their formats, they take 3 or 4 people from 2
Very opposed.
opposing
Opinions?
groups.
Yeah.
Yes. And they're standing in the background and they have chairs in the foreground and they ask a question. One that typically would align with one of the 2 groups. And then whoever agrees with it, they come forward, discuss, and the other people come forward and they all discuss as a group. One of them was try not to laugh. Alpha males and beta males.
Mm.
That would be wonderful.
I don't
It
even think I can
was
talk about it.
ridiculous.
Honestly. Beta males? I don't.
What does that even
What?
mean? It's so absurd. The assumption, I guess, being if you're not alpha, you're beta.
Right.
Is that as simple as it is? Anyway, one of the
guess.
questions was inevitably a true man does not cry in front of his children.
Oh, in front of his children.
And
That sounds
Yeah.
very unhealthy to me, but
I know.
And now they're telling me how to parent too.
Mm.
So not only are they trying to
right. This is also
prescribe
about what
my
fatherhood
behavior, but-
is. Yeah.
Yeah. I guess those are probably tied together.
Sure. That makes sense.
Wild. We cry enough. And any of you listeners who don't
I
know
cry
us-
more than my wife. Like, hands down, way more.
Yeah. Yep. I don't think my wife, the only time she cries is when she's angry because there's so much, she doesn't like feeling angry.
Mm-hmm.
And so that upsets her. There's nothing that will get her to an emotional point of crying. There's a handful of things. Yeah, I cry. And any listener who knows us knows.
Well, heck, any listener who only knows us through the podcast, we have cried on this podcast.
Yeah, I feel like we hit it pretty well though. I think we hit it well, but every single one of us have cried on at least 2 or 3 episodes of this podcast.
Probably.
Fun fact: if you're on the social medias and you can identify which episodes we're crying in, post your comment here. I don't know. We might have socials here soon. Okay, next one.
So this is number 3.
This is number 3.
Okay.
Long hair on a woman is her glory, but long hair on a man is a disgrace.
I think Samson would disagree.
Ooh, going back to the biblical.
I mean, that's where it's
references.
coming from, right?
That is.
Like, straight up.
I think
Samson took an oath and he was Hercules because of it, and he couldn't cut his hair. Like, what the heck?
Haley Berry would disagree.
Halle Berry?
Hallie?
Hallie. Oh, does she have no hair?
Because she's rocked quite a few short haircuts.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
quite a
gotcha.
few.
G.I. Jane.
You
Oh, wait.
went there.
Okay, what about other men with long hair?
Aragorn.
Okay.
If you want to
Before
get
they
into
had
like
scissors.
some like archetypes.
Dumbledore,
of, like, manliness.
Gandalf.
Gandalf.
How about,
Ganondorf,
like-
Gandalf?
every single special operations team out there
Really?
during the global war on terror.
Huh.
But their facial hair matched the length of their head hair most of the time. So that probably
Sure.
evened it out.
Counterbalanced.
Yeah, I think that one's ridiculous.
I mean,
I mean-
it's a fashion thing. Like,
Yeah.
those things change. Period.
Yeah.
Jason Momoa. Come on. I mean, I might not like man buns and long hair personally, but like, does that make me question how manly a guy is? So
No,
dumb.
it takes a few more indicators before I do that.
Yeah. Juji Mufu.
Oh, man.
Oh,
Juji.
good point.
He does have crazy hair. I don't even notice it because I can't get past all the muscles and extreme flexibility. That man is incredible.
Sometimes the horse mask.
Oh my gosh, those are the older days. I don't think he's done that since Tom got ejected. Yeah, the thing that obsessed me about this the most, and I think it's pretty common within these masculinity circles, is they always try to tie it to something with moral correctness, like moral
Right.
righteousness in it. So
Right.
like this one tying it kind of to biblical stories.
Yeah.
A lot of these guys tie it to like ancient Rome and ancient Greece. No, not Greece. Yeah, because the Spartans were Greek.
They were also quite homosexual.
Right. Well, exactly.
So, like, come on, guys.
Yeah. They're not really thinking this one through.
Not that I have any issues with that, but I know they would.
Yeah.
So, not really keeping your sentences straight.
Or your grammar accurate in most of these. I had to rewrite most of these.
Wait a minute. This one is not only trying to define masculinity, but femininity as well.
True.
So like that
True
alone,
that.
I guess, is a toxic masculine trait. Is trying to define
That's
what makes
the
a woman,
patriarchy
not just
does.
what makes a man.
It defines
Yeah.
everybody.
Oh, yeah.
So before I said any Hollywood stars, I should have mentioned my wife. Heather has had short hair. Well, she has long hair now, but she's had short hair like most of her life.
When you say short, what do you mean?
She used to have a pixie cut,
Well, there you go. That doesn't get much
I
shorter
think
than that.
would count.
Yeah.
but even since the time that she entered our family, she had a quite short A-line.
I don't know. I'm not even honestly probably paying attention.
And I would probably
Yeah.
say we may have entered her family.
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay.
Just to get rid of any notion of ownership here.
Okay.
She did not
Yeah, right.
leave
Right.
her
Yeah.
family.
Yeah. Gotcha. Okay. Now I'm with you.
While we're on the topic, that's all I'm saying. Okay, last one I prepared. This is a whole new. I've learned words that I didn't know existed in modern colloquialisms. Soy boy,
Nope.
beta male. Soy
Okay.
boy meaning
Nope.
reference to like vegetarianism, eating
Uh-huh.
soy, also estrogen.
Sure.
clearly non-masculine things right there. So
Makes
this
sense.
one, non-soy men never smile except for a group photo where everyone else is smiling too.
Way to look like I don't
Because
because feelings
chimps
are not.
smile to show.
Aggression. Most
They do
animals
smile to show
show
aggression.
their teeth, you know?
Well, in Russia, you don't even smile if other people are smiling. So, like,
I feel like that's less of a... I feel like that's loosely tied to how male you are and more tied to just misery. Nothing to smile about. Maybe not.
no comment.
Well, I mean, they're not eating soy. They're missing out on all kinds of deliciousness.
They're not
yeah,
soy boys.
wait. Yeah, was that saying soy boys can smile whenever they want and
Yes.
still be masculine, but
Because soy boys can do whatever they want without having to follow what someone else says. But they're not the manly ones.
Yeah, doesn't that mean they have control over their own domain because they're choosing to smile when they want to smile?
that sounds pretty alpha to me.
I'm in a group photo. No one else is smiling but me. Alpha.
No, you don't smile. I smile. This whole, just seriously, the whole conversation is just so ridiculous and absurd. What values are you basing any of this on? Really? Like, really? To not smile?
I don't know.
Why?
I don't know. It shows you're not hard. I don't know what that has to
I
do with
don't know.
anything, but I would also like to interject, not a hot take, but an opinion.
Mm.
I would not be shocked if our political rivals in the world aren't using these conversations to create their own polarizing effect on the community. Because if you think about it, I guess
social engineering, you mean?
yeah, and I guess I'm getting political here, but there's certain groups in this country, which is the United States, because we actually have quite a bit of European listeners.
Right. We are, yep. We're
A
American.
global podcast.
I mean,
So-
United Statesians.
Yeah. A subsection of this country that gravitates towards these thinking, these thoughts and opinions tend to be radicalized pretty easily if you offend their sense of their own masculinity.
Sure.
And you can easily rile this population up to commit violence, we'll talk about the polls, getting out to vote later this year, to like really polarize them and light a fire under them to go out and vote for a candidate that might be more beneficial for certain enemies of ours than another candidate might be. So I'm just going to say it, I wouldn't be shocked if a large percentage of this is driven by non-U.S. persons.
I think we can guarantee the Russian bot farms
Anything
used all
to-
kinds of topics around this in their Facebook trolling to stir up, far right conservatives.
Right? Anything
Absolutely.
to polarize the country. Anything to divide Americans more. And it's so easy because everyone has something that's important to them. So you just have to find a way to like make that a schism point between other groups. And if you can just divide America into all these disparate subgroups that all are at war with one another, you can never get anything done as a democracy.
For some reason, this one is like especially a hot button. Hot button?
It's a pretty hot button.
Like people will, you push that button and people go crazy.
If I'm going to do something stupid enough as to boil manliness down to something tangible and describable, I can't think of anything less manly than being super sensitive about your own manliness. And getting really worked up about someone else's opinions about your manliness. Like, just you are, I don't know.
It's hard because I also support mental health, and a lot of these groups kind of feel like male mental health groups, support groups.
Support groups, but not really mental health groups.
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
Good point.
They don't seem to be promoting any real mental health.
Because mental health would be promoting discussing your emotions and feelings, for
Sure
example.
would.
Oh, good point.
It might even condone crying every once in a while.
It might elicit crying.
And there's so much misinformation out there, too, about some of the things that they talk about, even like stoicism. Most people that are talking about stoicism online in these types of communities are not talking about real stoicism. The idea that you never have feelings, that is not stoicism.
Right.
Unfortunately, I don't at this moment remember what real stoicism is.
It is using your rational mind to determine how you yourself are influenced by external pressures.
Including your own emotions, I imagine.
Correct. You have the rational ability to determine how you respond to any stimulus. And you learn to accept what's in your control and disregard what's outside of your control. You don't let the things that are outside of your control control your emotional state.
Like someone saying, "You're not a real man." And you saying, "I don't think I care what you have to say about that. I think I'm pretty cool." I think in mental health terms, that's called regulation, where you don't have to let your emotions control what you're doing.
Nice. What if what would it be called if you said, "That's great. I'm glad you have such strong opinions about things," and then also not let it bother you? Is there a thing for that? Can I make someone
Being a happy little soy boy?
It must be all the estrogen. Dang it. You
No,
know,
I'm just kidding.
because partially okay, someone who says that comes up to me and says that clearly has issues.
Sure.
They're probably insecure about certain things.
Definitely.
And does that person not just need more love and positivity in their own life? So can I not take that as an opportunity to appreciate something about them and then just move on with my day and forget it ever happened?
Sure.
I
Yeah.
don't know.
I mean,
That's real masculinity.
the one thing that I think I can never remember this guy's name. He's like the king of incels.
I love that that's how you describe him. You're talking about Andrew Tate.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh,
Yeah.
Right.
The one thing that I think he gets right, and probably the
Whoa,
only one
Here's
thing,
a hot take.
Nice.
is that these guys, the incels that everybody's talking about, are suffering from a lack of connection.
Oh, is that what he says?
I believe that he has said something along those lines. I don't think he says it as clearly. I don't think.
He does say some on point things at times.
And it's true. And the answer is not to double down on these backwards ideas of masculinity. It's the complete opposite, because a truly masculine man can't hug another man. There's zero affection in the United States between men that are heteronormative, I guess you'd say, without fear, even if it's only a small amount, that you're going to be seen as less manly or homosexual, or, like there's all kinds of homophobia tied up in there and all kinds of stuff. But like, you go outside of this country, like in Africa, for instance, men will hold hands
Right.
as they're walking down the street.
Right. In Arabic populations, it's really common too.
Huh.
In Italy, male friends will kiss each other on the cheek,
Yeah.
just as they do their female friends. And it's no big deal. But especially here in America, we're so homophobic that men have just painted themselves into this corner of, I can't get enough of anything that I need as a normal human being, because I have to be better than a normal human being. I have to be stronger and whatever. It's so stupid.
Yeah. Shayna will know what I'm referencing, but I heard one evening that everyone needs 6 hugs a day just to get their minimum amount of huggage.
Mm.
But you need like 10 or 12 hugs a day to thrive.
Interesting.
I don't know if that was
This is like
specifically...
a legit study, though,
That's
right?
what this person described it as.
Sure. Right. I mean, hard to verify in this
Yep.
moment, but
Yep. But yeah, I mean,
We're primates, like
we should be like climbing on each other's back hair and
Picking bugs out.
picking bugs out.
just like cuddle puddling like a cat.
Yeah.
Like they do that all the time.
It releases chemicals and
So I don't
They're
think
good
we're
for your health.
suggesting that you walk up to another person and purr at them and then start
a
cuddle
cuddle
puddle.
puddle. Not so much.
But you do you, boo.
but don't do that. That's not you.
At least without consent. Make sure they acknowledge.
Although, did you know there are paid services? You can go to a small hotel like space and pay for a cuddle buddy.
Yep.
Outside of Japan, this feels like a Japan thing.
No, in
here.
America.
Yeah.
Probably
What?
mostly in places like California.
I think Oregon, Portland has them.
Probably. Yeah, Portland probably's got
it's like
some.
a
sense.
cuddle hotel,
Seattle.
so you're not like
No, the hotel isn't made for it. It's more like
service.
it's like getting someone to walk your dog kind of an app.
That is so. Okay, pretty cool that exists, but that is so sad.
They had a cuddle expert from one of these services on Good Mythical Morning.
Oh,
Rhett and Link had them on.
cuddle.
That
expert.
might have been where I first heard about this. Yeah.
Yeah. So,
fascinating.
but I mean, seriously, like all human beings need
Emotional,
like emotional
mental,
intimacy,
and
physical intimacy, whether that's like on the really low end of the intimacy bar or on the high end. Like there are different amounts that we all need from different relationships in our lives, like fist bumps alone, dapping it out, not going to be enough. Just not going to do it.
And yet, that is what I do at work. I fist bump
At
my-
work, that's
my
appropriate.
friends. Yeah.
That is appropriate for work relations.
When some tough topics, some tough things come up at times, and I'm in a position to offer support and sometimes, just my own thoughts on it. And like, I want to, my emotional state is I want to embrace them and hug them
Sure.
and connect.
Mm-hmm.
But it's usually this really awkward, like,
A high five of
Fist bump.
condolence from
Yeah.
Barney Stinson.
yeah. Basically. But it makes me feel better. At least I'm like, okay, well, at least I did that.
I can't believe you brought Barney Stinson.
To this
Full
particular
circle.
conversation.
Yeah, this came right back around.
Although I do want to give a shout out to mom and dad. There's a story. I don't know which of the two of them likes sharing it more. This is when they were, I guess, not newlyweds. Alex was alive. Had you been born yet by the time they moved into the home in Kaiser?
I was 2 when we moved out of the apartment in Salem, so it would have been around the time Josh was.
I was born when we were
coming
in
into the
house.
world.
Okay. Someone comes to the door, or someone knocks on the door. I think Dad rushes to answer it. And there he is standing in an apron because he was baking cookies while Mom is in the front room, so visible from the front door, all dusty and dirty as she's
Sawdust.
re-sheetrocking
Uh-oh. Yeah.
the front room.
Nice.
So, yeah. Kudos to you, Mom and Dad,
For real.
showing us that whatever gender you are, you can do whatever you got to do.
Yeah.
And whatever you enjoy. Mom owns all of the power tools.
Yep.
And hand tools.
Dad maybe did the majority of the providing, but Mom was the woodworker. Mom was the
Mhm.
fix-it handyman, handy woman, handy person,
Yeah.
whatever. I'm not sure. Handy person doesn't roll off the tongue as nicely, but yeah,
Yep. Thanks for upsetting that apple cart early on.
Yeah, no kidding.
For real.
It's
Set
important.
us up for success
It's
Yeah.
good.
with our other relationships.
I never had to hear a woman tell me that she likes to work with saws and hammers and then go, really? Like Henry might have done.
Hey. He's getting better.
I'm sure he
I
is.
don't know. Love you, Henry.
You're a good
Yes, we
kid.
do love you, Henry. Of course.
And you're also a great climber and ninja warrior.
And so are a lot of women.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That Casey girl, was that her name?
I don't actually
The
follow Ninja
gymnast
Warrior.
from like years and years. She was like one of the best
The
that
gymnast
had ever
is going
come
to be
through.
well set up to do that.
Can't
well.
remember her name, but I think she was like the first big name for women.
There's a stunt woman.
Oh yeah, I bet they're
That's what I want Dawn to be.
Stunt people are going to be good.
I want her to be a stunt woman for Hollywood so bad. She'd be awesome.
I could see her doing it.
Yeah.
Hey, kids. Do you know what time it is?
Story time!
For this week's story, I thought I would demonstrate to everybody what true masculinity is.
Oh, demonstration. Okay.
I would say, kind of a level of masculinity that our generation has grown to accept. And I'm going to do this by talking about my first deployment.
Okay.
I don't really talk about my deployments.
Ever.
I don't think anyone really knows what I do or some of the hair-raising situations that are just kind of what you live with all the time. And so I thought that I would continue to keep you aloof of that.
Yeah, of course.
But in a general, non-temporal, non-locational, non-operational specific way, maybe illustrate kind of the day-to-day quirkiness and things that happen when you're deployed in the middle of a major war in a desert. So this one, I'm only gonna give the hint that this first one was during Operation Iraqi Freedom. And location, the only thing you're gonna hear is that this was close to the Euphrates River. But I've got this nifty little map here, and I'll hand it to Jacob, and you and Alex can just kind of pan and zoom and move it around, and then I'll kind of explain what you're seeing. You're going to see some yellow towers. Those were our guard towers. You're going to see a yellow outline. That was the perimeter wall. This thing was probably like 25 feet tall of Iraqi construction. So it wasn't like great concrete, but it was like 3 foot thick, 4 foot thick. Pretty robust.
Yeah, substantial.
You're going to see some other icons that I'll talk about once we get there.
Is this going to be in show notes? That's a no, folks.
I will. I've got some photos that I'll put in there, though, that shouldn't give too much weight.
Especially after I blur them all up.
You'll see a blue outline. That is our Iraqi partner force, their location of where we were at. And you'll see a red outline. That's what I call Poo Lake.
Gross.
Okay.
And we'll get to that pretty soon. And then you're going to see some red icons on this map. And that was where we were most frequently attacked from. So the Euphrates River is just west of this. So you can like pan over. That's the Euphrates River right there. You'll see all around it is just freaking farmland.
Oh,
Just
but I mean,
the boonies.
there are a lot of structures around here.
Is
that
mostly houses?
yeah?
And some like, they do have machinery. They have like diesel and gasoline generators, and they have to work on their vehicles and things. There's not like auto body shops really available everywhere, so everyone just kind of learns how to work on their stuff. And
All good farmers do anyway.
yeah. So similar things, just they don't have as much as we do, so they redneck it a lot. So what Alex and Jacob were looking at is kind of a rectangular area in the desert, but because we're close to the Euphrates River on this deployment, it's actually pretty well. It's pretty green. They had a lot of agriculture out there.
Yeah, those fields look pretty good.
Yeah, a lot of palm trees. Alex is trying to get an idea of where this was spatially.
Just looking for green.
Okay. This base of ours was a former presidential palace complex of Saddam Hussein's.
Oh.
And
Whoa.
and so if you look at
right.
that, there, you'll see a hill with a big yellow icon on top of it. You kind of see a road.
Oh yeah.
So that was a beautiful, beautiful palace building. And I would say the outside construction kind of looked like sandstone. I don't know what the actual material was.
Right.
But you go in and there's massive ceilings. You walk into the middle courtyard room and it's like 3 stories high with these awesome ladders. So each level, that floor would be open
Right.
to the central area. And there's beautiful wooden lattice work for like railing and just really, really high quality carvings.
Would you say that maybe woodwork in an area of the world like this might be a little bit more of a flex than
Oh yeah,
like here?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. And it's all by hand too.
Right.
These palaces were all about flex. Saddam had like so many palace complexes throughout the country, mostly in the nicer, greener parts like Basra and Baghdad and Tikrit and Mosul. But every single one of these palaces had like, I think it was marble flooring, like the whole thing. You would go into the bedroom, like the main bedroom in this place, and it was like satin. It looked like satin bed covers and bed sheets, and the chairs were like gold filigreed and silvered, massive crystal chandeliers. That palace itself had a huge indoor swimming pool that was like the depth of the pool, like where the water would fill up, would be like 2 floors of water,
Holy
water volume.
smokes.
And
What in
then
the world?
if you actually go to the second floor from the pool level, you can jump, like there's like a plank from that second floor that opens up into the pool area. Then you can just jump into the pool.
Dang.
It was beautiful. It was gorgeous. And every single building on that base was similar construction to some extent or another. Just really beautiful. It was weird. It was like a really weird dichotomy because our housing area, we just lived in these metal shacks called CHUs, CHU, containerized housing units.
Which is just a shipping container,
It's
right?
just shipping containers with really thin walls. So they're not like structural shipping containers, but it's like the same construction.
Huh.
And
Corrugated on the outside, but it's just not as thick.
right,
Mm.
right. And so imagine, and to make it worse, I was a night shift guy. So most of the time when we operate at night, and to be concealed by darkness.
Yeah.
That's all new. So Alex is showing me an area.
Are those not the chews?
Those
Is
are
that not
not.
a set of chews? Oh,
No,
okay.
that's new. A new image. So I dropped an icon on there of a house to show you where they were. A yellow icon. I think I did.
Oh, yep,
Yeah.
there we
it's
go.
in there.
So it's just gone. The whole area is pretty different now than what I remember it.
Mm.
But imagine working at night and then in the middle of the day having to sleep in a metal box.
Yeah,
I did have an
In
air
the desert.
conditioner in the desert.
right. Without insulation, too, I imagine.
No insulation.
Yeah.
No, we did have like plastic trash bags over the windows.
Were they black?
Black plastic bags to try to just, yeah. And luckily, I mean, I didn't have a roommate. Most people were like crammed in with four guys in a box.
Gosh.
I had the whole thing to myself the entire time. A twin size mattress. And I had this huge wall mounted air conditioner. You just crank that thing on and
course.
leave it running 24/7.
Yeah.
And I would still wake up, sweat through my bed sheets straight down to the bed. So every night that I would wake up, I wouldn't wear anything
Mm-hmm.
because it was too oppressive.
Right.
And I'd wake up, sweat through everything. I would strip my sheets. I'd grab my plastic mattress. I'd take it all outside and I'd hang it up every single day just to dry it off and get it aerated. So like to prevent smelling from the sweat and stuff. We would have massive pallets of bottled water sitting in key locations around the base, just sitting there baking in the sun.
Mm.
And if someone didn't get to the water quickly enough, like if it had been sitting out in the sun for long enough, that plastic would just it would be brittle, it would break and deteriorate. The water would be useless.
Probably leaching into the water anyway.
Oh yeah, I'm sure at least half of the what do we call it? There's like a vague term for illness or disease that hits service members when they're deployed. Just like an unknown, like you got cancer or you have all these things, and this whole group that was deployed to the same time in areas, you all have similar things, and we don't know what it is. There's a term for it. I have no doubt that the plastic is part of it, but also another big part of that. Oh, so we grab the water bottles and you just kind of put it in your housing unit and probably put it right up next to the air conditioner to try to keep it cold so you can even drink it.
Mm-hmm.
But you got used to drinking warm and hot water pretty quickly.
Is this the only water you have access to, or the only drinking water that you have
That's
access
the only
to?
drinking water. We had drop-in other containing units for like the showers,
Right.
but that was not potable water.
Right.
You could only shower and brush your teeth in it and shave with it. And also that was usually just piping hot. And so don't shower in the middle of the day either. You're going to burn yourself. But the other thing that I'm pretty sure is the two things that are the reason for most, I think, illnesses during these wars was one, the poo lakes. So basically when we first got there, there's no way to get rid of your waste. You have this metal container with like sewage containers underneath it that when you're flushing the toilets is just going into a big, what's called a gray water tank.
Mm-hmm.
What do you do with the gray water?
Yeah.
You put it on a piece of heavy equipment, you drive it over to the poo lake, you dump it in,
Oh my gosh.
and then you set it on fire.
What?
Of course, you're the army.
And so we had burn pits
Mm-hmm.
to burn waste, to burn plastics, to burn your trash, to burn everything. And it was horrible, awful. And there's no way you can't breathe that in.
Of course.
Coming back from this deployment, I had for about 6 months, I just had kind of like long COVID, but I just had like physical gunk in my lungs for 6 to 7 months after I got back.
Mm-hmm.
And I think some of that was like the sandstorms that we got caught in sometimes. But I think the long-term effect was just inhaling this stuff all the time. So that palace right there, that hill, looks like it's getting some trees on it. It used to be fully covered in green foliage and stuff before we took control. Then we took control and we stopped watering it because
Sure.
who cares? Well, the effect of that was that palace split the foundation and the walls right down the middle. Massive
What?
crack right down the middle of the entire freaking thing. So there was no roots. So that's a fake hill, right?
Man-made hill.
That was
Okay,
constructed
sure. Yeah.
because there's a lake on the other side of that, not the poo lake, but a real lake, man-made lake. Go towards the rest of the base. Yeah, see that? And you'll see little islands built in there.
Mm-hmm.
So that was excavated, and all the dirt was just filled in to make that hill, and then they plopped a really heavy, poorly constructed palace on top of it. So there's no roots to retain the soil, and so the first thing that happens with the erosion is that thing cracked. And when we left, we were getting ready to abandon the whole thing because it was getting so sketchy.
Crazy.
To get exercise, there's a building right there on the lake. You can see it, that yellow. There's like 2 yellow icons down right there.
Mm.
That building, the bottom floor of it was the dining where we had food. Amazing. That was another palace building. It was just gorgeous. We had local Iraqis cook our food.
Mm.
We had a fry cook. For breakfast, I'd roll in and he would make whatever type of omelet you wanted. And he just
Nice.
had all these ingredients, and you'd be
Dang.
like, I want that, and he'd make these massive, like 6-egg omelets,
Ooh.
or your own like pancakes with like blueberry jam or blueberry syrup. Like the best food I have ever had in my life has been while I've been deployed.
Not a normal situation, probably.
Probably not. Right. I mean, when you're out and you're on MREs, life kind of sucks, but on base, this food is to die for. Oh boy.
I got there.
No.
But we also had like 30 different ice cream flavors there.
Nice.
You had as much ice cream
cow.
as you could handle.
Yeah, I've watched a lot of History Channel stuff about the importance of ice cream in our
Military?
military operations.
Yeah. Ice cream and coffee and cigarettes.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
But
but
M&M's.
you mean hard chocolate covered disc candies? I think that's what we call them in the army. It's an M&M to the T.
Yeah.
But it's called hard chocolate covered disc candy or something like that.
So
ridiculous.
you
It's
have
ridiculous.
off-brand
Yeah.
M&M's now.
Yeah. So the second floor of that building was our gym. And again, a palatial room. We had treadmills in there. We had squat rack, like full racks, free weights, everything. And that whole side of that building facing the lake is all window.
Nice.
It was awesome. Except for the fact that if you kind of keep scrolling in that direction, zoom out a bit, see how close you are to the wall?
Mm.
So if you're on a second floor with big, massive windows
Mm.
and your elevated position, you're kind of visible. And that became a thing. But I'll get there later. So at this time, Vibram Five Fingers were like super popular. And I bought me my first pair. And the best way to run would be right along that wall was just hard packed dirt
Mhm.
cement road. And so you would just run the base in circles and suck down all that sand and dirt in the air and poo flavored smoke.
Oh, yeah. 'Cause
Uh,
the Pooh Lake is, you're running right past it twice.
You're running
if you're-
behind it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're running around it and behind it. But, oh, and then there's a soccer field out there. I don't think that's
Yeah.
actually where we played soccer, but we would play soccer with our Iraqi counterparts. And so ironically, maybe not ironically, and if you
Ironically.
Wrong
country.
Iraqically, sorry, everybody. Anyone who can kind of sleuth out where I am, who knows what I'm talking about, there's a history to the Iraqi partners that were there with us, and they actually manned our watchtowers around the complex.
Oh.
So they were like our first line of defense always,
Wow.
and they were really awesome dudes. Really, I mean, that's why when I get emotional about people kind of fighting for their own situation in life, I'll think about these guys. It was a lot more real for them than it was for us because they had a living area on base, but they also had homes and families outside of base. And if the insurgents could identify who they were,
Right.
they would attack their families, and it was really real for those guys.
I mean, did they do a lot to try to conceal who
Yeah.
they were then? Like,
Yeah, but I mean, it's a challenge when you have a bus with a bunch of people coming from a rural farming community driving onto a U.S. installation.
Right.
There's only so much you can do.
Dang.
So it's tough, but kind of part of the job for us over the years has been to identify, to get retribution, to basically get revenge and payback and figure out who attacked your friend and go punch him in the nose yourself. And it's just part of it was really, really unfortunate. Sucked. But for relaxation, another thing that we could do on base was to play soccer. We didn't have a field like there's there now. It was just dirt and some goals, and you just kick the ball around. And by dirt, though, the land there, I describe it as like cremated soil. It was like moon dust.
Huh.
It was the weirdest,
So every step you're kicking up.
pretty much.
And,
just really fine particles?
Extremely fine, extremely light and fluffy. It would like aerate, like aerosol, just get in the air so quickly
like
and
mountain
easily.
trails here sometimes are.
Yeah,
Or that
yeah,
way.
really similar to that. So
I would not want to play soccer in that.
I got a shamag they'd give you, and I would just tie it around my face.
Yeah.
But that was pretty fun. What else? I had a list. Hand me my phone. So this little area, this other yellow box down on the bottom of the hill, those were the buildings that I mostly worked in. So like our loadout, we would load out and get ready for our ops and hold all our gear over in those buildings. And then that was kind of like the main office where we'd coordinate and plan everything. This building right here, that's an outdoor pool. Heated, not just by the sun, but actually physically heated.
Why?
With an outdoor barbecue patio
Jeez.
built in. That thing was amazing.
What a bizarre base to be deployed to.
Oh, I know. And it really
Surreal.
set me up for
Yeah.
failure for the future. Because we had barbecues there
You're like
every week.
half of this experience is luxury, like top luxury that country would have seen.
Oh, yeah. Yep. And a normal Iraqi would never have been able to set foot in this area.
Yeah.
The walls and
Right.
guard gates, we didn't put those there.
Right.
Those were built there to defend Saddam's palace from people he didn't want to come in.
Right.
But come to find out, the crystal chandeliers were plastic. The gold filigree
Whoa.
chairs are fool's gold. It's fake. Everything in all of these constructions is
The
made to look
facade.
real, but it's all a facade.
Huh.
That says
Yeah.
a lot.
Yep.
With a made in China sticker on the bottom.
I don't think. I mean, made in Iraq at the time was pretty bad. Okay, so I have four quick anecdotes to kind of capitalize,
Sure.
to kind of emphasize, illustrate.
There it is.
Maybe not so quick, but 4 quick anecdotes to illustrate normal life. So, one, I'm in our main building that we do most of our planning and logistics through, and I'm a PFC, so I'm a private first class on this deployment. The 3rd lowest rank you can have as an enlisted soldier in the Army. You are dirt.
But you're not that stupid dust you had to play soccer in.
That's true. I'm not the dust.
And you had a bedroom all to yourself.
That was lucky.
Yeah, wait a minute. Huh.
Yeah, right. No, exactly. I've just always been a pretty charismatic guy. Somehow I can influence things. Except for this. Because I was the lowest enlisted guy. And we had this massive meat freezer on the first floor of that building we were in.
Mm-hmm.
And it's where we would store all of our barbecue meats for our pool parties that were right next to that building.
Yeah.
And one day, similar to what happened to me at my home in my garage, a circuit blew, or more likely the freezer just broke.
Died.
And
Oh, no.
we come back from a pretty long and extensive mission, and there's just melted meat fluid all over the floor. And as soon as we opened the 2 massive big wooden doors to walk in and drop all of our stuff, it just hits us in the face. So who gets to mop it up, squeegee it out, clean out the freezer? This guy.
By yourself.
By myself.
What? Why?
I'm a PFC.
Were you?
These guys got things to do.
You tell me
were
you were the
one?
only PFC.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yep.
Huh.
So that was fun. And that kind of stuff happens all the time. That's your life as a PFC. Other things happen. That's the anecdote to share to illustrate that.
So at this base, you were the dust that you had to play soccer in.
Within our element.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. Another day, I was walking to the dining hall to get my breakfast. And we have these things called clearing barrels, where it's usually like a 50-gallon drum, like a metal oil drum that's put on it's like tilted kind of in this orientation, maybe at like a 45-degree angle where the opening is 45 degrees up.
Okay.
And it's full of sand. And so you always have your handgun and your rifle on you. And when you're on mission, like before you leave, you lock and load everything. When you come back, if you're entering any building, to make sure that you properly cleared your weapon, there's no bullets in it, there's no magazines or anything in it, you go through this procedure to double check, and then to finalize and ensure that you don't have anything, you shoot your rifle or firearm into the barrel.
Right.
It should just go click. If you hear a bang, you screwed up. Well, I'm getting in line to go through the hall to eat some food. And this dude who had just rolled in is like going through the motions, not really paying attention. And by that point in time, you're like, dude, I know I cleared my weapons. Like, I don't have anything in here. And so some people might just kind of fake it. Well, this guy certainly faked it with his handgun, because when he went to reholster, he shot himself in the leg.
Oh.
Right there, like practically point blank, right into the thigh.
Oh.
Ah.
And it was hilarious. We all laughed. He laughed. He was also like the medic for that team.
No.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So he took care of it himself. And that happens, frequently enough.
He pulled the bullet out of his own leg.
I don't know. I didn't stand to watch. I just went in to eat food.
You're just walking along, going to get your burrito in the morning. That was funny. Oh, well, back to my burrito.
Nothing to see here. Those red icons I showed you,
Yeah.
the locations that we were most frequently attacked from.
Yeah.
Guys would kind of sometimes try to, kind of like a zombie horde thing, try to like breach the walls and get over. And
Really?
usually they were pretty easy to repel.
Yeah.
Other times,
25-foot walls. They're trying to climb them.
well, they're looking for like holes and stuff and like cracks. So normally it's at night. These guys don't have night vision goggles. Our dudes in the towers definitely do. So you get to see and hear some fireworks, and it's usually over pretty quick. But we'd also get mortared and rocketed a lot.
Oh, dang.
Usually from those farm areas. And so the first time we got mortared, I remember I was laying in bed, I was asleep, and you just hear like we had really good detection systems. And so it would alert you that we had discovered a mortar heading for the base.
Huh.
And so
Really?
you're out cold. It's probably like 2 p.m., maybe 3 p.m. And I'm trying to get my sleep. And then you just hear the alert, alert, incoming. And the first time it happened, I about pooped myself. I rolled off my bed, found my body armor, just kind of threw it over my chest and like rolled under my bed. I didn't know what the heck to do.
They did.
That's not... Oh, okay.
They didn't train you.
I thought that'd be standardized.
No.
Yeah,
Like
first day you're
earthquake drill
there.
and
I mean, they
first
mention
grade.
it. They say with mortar,
Mention it.
with mortars, the last thing you want to do is still stand. Like you want to get down because it's going to detonate above ground, and then the shrapnel's going to go. So
Oh, is that how mortars work? I didn't know.
you have different fusing. You have different types, but
Okay.
the ones that were mostly used, you have a significantly higher survival rate if you're not directly in the impact zone. If you just flat. So that was all I remembered. Every subsequent mortar and rocket attack, you just kind of like, this might be my time to go. Like, oh well, I've got this comic book to fill out, or a comic book to read, or this crossword I need to finish. You just get
That's
it's just
Comfortable?
another day.
crazy.
And it's nothing like today. So like my subsequent deployments there, out there.
Is this all going to be revelation for mom and dad?
Yeah, I mean, I don't talk to anybody about it.
Yeah.
But I mean, this is hardly the bad stuff.
Right.
But like now, future, fast forward, you've got these massive, thick concrete bunkers everywhere. So if you hear it, you've got a bunker that you can just sprint to get under cover.
So what kind of time frame are we talking about here? I mean,
Operation Iraqi Freedom.
no. Sorry, the mortars.
Oh,
You hear the alarm. You've got 5 seconds.
yeah,
How far in advance
depending.
is this
Sometimes,
detection?
it really depends, but you'll have anywhere from 1 to 15 seconds.
Sheesh.
Wow, those things are in the air that long, huh?
Yeah, that's what
Yeah, no,
I'm shocked.
it's not
we
that
can
they're in the air
detect
that
them.
long. It's that we detect them that quickly.
But I mean, how can you not detect it until it's in the air? And I wouldn't
not
have
detect it?
expected.
I
I
don't
wouldn't
know.
have expected it to be in the air for a total of 15 seconds.
It depends on the lob. So if you're right behind that freaking wall and you're just shooting it pretty
I
much
see.
straight up because you keep missing every time you've tried before that. And like there's rocket assisted stuff, which can travel much further in the air a lot longer, can pack a bigger punch.
Oh.
So it really just depends on what system you're getting shot at with and where it's from. But yeah,
Yeah, I wouldn't have expected that of a mortar.
Yeah.
you never know. Which is kind of part of the fun because you're like, which one's this going to be? And where's it actually coming from? I have no idea where it's coming from. Do I break my ostensible concealment to try to get to cover? Or am I going to be running at the thing? So
Yeah.
that's why most of us,
It's a crapshoot.
yeah. And after your first deployment, especially, you're just kind of like, it hasn't got me yet. And I just kind of sit here. So
Because you probably run the numbers in your head a little bit at some point in time. Like, what are the odds of me getting hit because I moved versus not having moved? And there's actually no difference. So
right. Yeah. So, yeah. And honestly, it doesn't really go through your mind. It's just kind of like apathy, really, because you're like, I'm tired. It's hot. My water is burning my throat. Maybe I do want to go right now. And then the last one, a little more real for mom and dad, maybe. But I think it's hilarious.
Warning.
Trigger alert. Ha. Literally. Oh my gosh. I'm cracking myself up today. So I was down in the main building I showed you guys at the bottom of the
Okay,
hill.
I thought you were going to say the poo lake.
No, yeah. Down, get my laps in the pool, eh? And all of a sudden, one of our communication systems just isn't getting anything anymore. And we're troubleshooting it down on the ground level. Nothing's working. Can't figure anything out. Nothing seems to be an issue with the transceiver. Nothing appears to be an issue with connectivity at the transceiver. Power's fine. Everything should be running. So what do my more senior experienced guys say? Must be an issue at the antenna.
I actually think I've heard part of this.
Hey, PFC. You're the most expendable one here. Why don't you go up and check the antenna on top of the palace, on top of the freaking hill? So I'm like, yeah, okay. Don't have an option there. So make my way up the hill, get into the palace. There's this really janky stairwell that turns into a really janky ladder. They have to climb up like the amount of like 2 flights of stairs. It looks like this old torture thing, man. It looks like anyway. So I'm climbing up that. I open the door at the top. It opens straight onto the roof. I get on the roof. I stand up. And then I realize, holy crap, I can see it. Which means everything can see me. And what the guys told me before I left, they're like, keep your head down. There's snipers around today. And I think they're joking, you know. But sure enough, there's a pop goes past my head right into the wall behind me, and immediately pee myself. Not even gonna lie, I peed myself. I also dropped down.
You know, not many people can say they peed on Saddam Hussein's palace. So
I peed on his roof. Pretty close to the part where I used to hit golf balls off the roof too. Later, because we would hit golf balls off into the poo lake. So anyway, dropped to the ground. Now I'm kind of like laying in my pee and just kind of like doing your army crawl over to where the antenna is, thinking, I hope they can't see me now. I don't know where this guy is, but hopefully he can't see me. And just like crawling over real quick, fixing the connection to this really high power antenna that's probably E-rated you a little bit too. And getting down. So anyway, everything was fine. I had to change my pants. I walked back in the office. I'm like, okay, is it working? Like, yep. I'm like, okay, well.
I'll be back.
I peed myself. Someone tried to shoot me. Give me like 20 minutes, please.
But you can't take a shower because it's the middle of the day.
Oh, no. We have GI wipes. Just camo branded baby wipes.
Hmm.
Yeah.
For little boys who love G.I. Joe, right?
Those are a lifesaver. They kept you clean. So that's my story time. Just to paint a picture of not abnormal daily life type stuff for that deployment. I know we're running kind of late, but if I can, I have one more thing I want to do.
I don't think we're running that late.
Okay.
I don't know.
I wanted to segue into something here. This month happens to be the month of one of our brothers' birthdays.
Oh.
Huzzah!
Alex's birthday is this month. We won't give you the day, but it is this month. It hasn't happened yet.
We'll see when the episode actually comes out. But
Yeah, it'll have happened by the time you hear this.
we're recording this, and his birthday's coming up. So I wanted to do something as a little surprise. I am going to hold up my phone to you. I'm going to turn the volume up, and I'm going to record this. I just want to get Alex and Jacob's reaction. And hopefully I'm not disappointed.
Wait, how are you going to... You're going to play something and record?
No. Record the audio to the
okay.
microphone. Okay,
Got
here we
it.
go. Happy birthday, Alex.
okay.
Happy birthday, Alex! How are you? There's buttons here. From the cryptic pack, just in case you need it. I mean, I don't know if you've ever seen my face. It might just be a bit scary having a video that just starts with somebody screaming happy birthday at you. So, to clarify, it's buttons from the cryptic pack. Happy birthday, dude. I hope you're having a wonderful day wherever you are. What a lovely brother you have. I mean, he knows you so well to get you the thing that you've always wanted, which is a little personal message from me. I'm sure there's other things on your wish list, but I'm sure this one was high on the list. Anyway, Josh is What a guy. What a brother. But I'm also so excited to hear that you guys both listen to the show together. That's so awesome. And that you have your own podcast as well. I mean, just the one thing that your dear brother forgot to do when telling me that you have your own podcast that you do the audio engineering on, and I feel for you there. It's not an easy task. Nobody appreciates it quite enough. As he forgot to mention the name of your podcast. I'd love to check it out. So make sure, I don't know if you can message me or if Josh can message me.
I
or
did
something.
message
I don't know.
him. Okay.
But I have to hear it. And I hear you on the pain of the editing. Well, I don't know if it is painful for you. It is certainly. But it's not painful.
This
it's a
is
lot
so
of fun.
long.
It's as you get to craft it, right, and all that kind of stuff. But by golly, it takes a long time, particularly when each of the participants are around the world and on Zoom with delays and latency issues. And
This is why I haven't wanted to get Chris on the podcast
blah, blah, blah,
yet.
and then trying to get the
No
audio
Keystone
files
right now.
from them and the reverb in the room. And God,
Keyframe.
You know it. He knows.
I feel
He
tired
knows.
just thinking of it. But no, I've got my brother, and that's my brother. I've got my son into audio engineering. I tricked him into it, and so he's doing the editing now.
Nice.
So anyway, I guess my recommendation there is have a child and get them into audio engineering, reduce the pain. But also, I love that you're working in AV in Utah. I love the AV industry. Some of my favorite days were working at a comedy club doing audio and sound for comedy. For comedians rather, and then going to go to Edinburgh and travel around and doing mixing audio for bands. I got to go to places like the Faroe Islands, which is, above Scotland, between Scotland and Iceland.
Faroe
There's these
Islands.
big rocks jutting out of the water. So the highlight of my AV career was doing that kind of stuff.
Dang.
And, but then also working, with comedians around the place and getting to know people like Dan and Reese. And ended up on podcasts somehow, going from being an AV guy to being like talking about weird animals.
Weird animals.
Probably you're the same. You've ended up with your own podcast, so maybe that's the route. And maybe that's the best way to having your own podcast, to start out in AV. I will say as well, I loved
Doesn't hurt.
Utah when I went there. I went all the way into the Uintah Basin and went to a
course you
UFO
did.
conference over there.
Oh, yeah, duh,
and man, it was real buzzy. I didn't get to go to Salt Lake City. I just landed and just hired
You
a
didn't
really
miss
cheap
anything.
$60 a day Porsche and drove over into the Uintah Basin, which hiring a Porsche at the time sounded like a good idea because it was like a 5 or 6 hour drive or something like that to this UFO conference. And I thought that would be a good idea to hire an old Porsche. But then, of course, I got to the Uintah Basin and realized that I was the only guy not only driving a Porsche, I was the only guy driving a European vehicle of any description. I'm driving around and people are in massive pickup trucks and driving ATVs on the road with great big flags off them and stuff. And here I am, this little New Zealand boy driving around in an old, cheap, clearly bad Porsche.
Well, American roads were never going to do
Porsche.
justice to a Porsche anyway.
It
You need
wasn't
some tight
one of my
bends.
best moments. But gosh, I
mountain
had
roads.
fun, and I got to go and accidentally end up on Skinwalker Ranch, and I went to Blind Frog Ranch, and I did all these kind of cool things. And anyway, had a good time there. So hopefully I'll be back sometime. If I am, hopefully I can listen to your podcast and then
hit us up.
and maybe get you guys to do a cameo for me.
Yeah.
Are you kidding? That'd be
Should be.
ridiculous.
Anyway, enough of this. Happy birthday. I hope you're having a great day. And I hope you get better presents than this. Because, as much as I'd like to think that I was on the top of your list, I imagine there's something more better than you're going to... shucks. A pair of new socks. A pair of new socks are probably more exciting than this. In fact, Josh probably should have got you a pair of new socks. But here I am. This is what you got. Okay, I'm going to stop now. I'm really terrible. I love these cameos because it's so much fun sending these little videos. But I'm really terrible at stopping them. I really just end up rambling for way too long because I just hate hitting the big stop button because it's like, just feels wrong. I just want to keep, not that I like hearing the sound of my own voice, but I really like just yarning. I wish there was a two-way. That would make more sense because then it wouldn't just me talking.
Yeah.
But there you go. And no, look, this is the cryptid bar. This is my little bar at home that I made. I'm just delaying the inevitable of hitting the stop button, just sort of show you the cryptid bar. Over there is Sir Edmund Hillary's backpack that he took on a Yeti expedition back in the day.
Holy crap.
There's also a haunted doll here, which is really cool.
Haunted doll.
There's also a little bit of Apollo 11. I'm just delaying. Stopping now. I'm just trying to. Okay, I'll stop now. Have a great day, man. And thanks again, Josh, for getting me involved. I'm glad I was part of your birthday, buddy. Okay, see you.
Bye.
Dude.
Okay. So
Isn't he awesome? No way.
So first, I wasn't reacting a whole lot because I just didn't know how. Like, I felt like, have you guys seen the video that it's been a while since I've seen it used anywhere, but like there's a video on YouTube where there's this British guy talking on like a vlog kind of a thing, and then from out of frame, a fist just comes flying through the air and punches him in the face really hard.
No.
And the guy just goes, "Oh, I can't believe you've done this." that's his entire response. That's just what I was feeling like. Like, I don't know how to respond to this. But I still don't know how to respond. Like,
Mind blown.
seriously.
Yeah.
Buttons.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
What a great guy.
Seriously.
Reese is funny. I've
Yeah, he's
been totally
hilarious,
enamored
sure.
with Buttons. He's such a great Aliens Like Us,
Oh, gosh.
The Cryptid Factor,
So good.
just amazing. So funny. And yeah, I was blown away.
Wow.
That was like a 7-minute video.
Yeah.
That was crazy.
And as a cliffhanger that will never be revealed to our listeners, Buttons did listen to the podcast, and he did send me another video, which I will play to my brothers
What?
after we conclude this recording.
Well, that wraps up this episode, guys. Thanks for stopping by. Thank you.
Thank you.
Dang it, that's what I was going to do.
Oh, shoot. Do it. You're going to do it better.
Thank you
For being our brother.
Wow, did
That
we
might be
just
too
nail that?
energetic, though.
Okay. we'll take another run at it then.
Okay. For being our brother.
The first one was too energetic.
Gotcha. Production of this podcast is done by Alex Stewart.
With music by Jared Poff and Alex Stewart.
For show notes, rockin' merch, and other brother goodness, check out our website at anotherbrotherpodcast.com.
Be sure to come back next week.
And tell your friends so they too can become a
Brother over here.